The strategic sword is the most powerful PvE weapon in wherewindsmeet. It has high burst damage, yet feel fluid to play. The core mechanic of strategic sword is constant, applying bleed damage until it reaches 5 stacks, then remove the bleeds with a massive burst damage. In this video, I will walk through the build and skill rotation, which has the highest DPS yet simple to play. Nevertheless, you need some experience in playing dual weapon system. This game is designed to play with one DPS weapon, pair with another support weapon. For example, the starting weapon Nameless Sword usually pair with Nameless Spear as support. The spear provides stamina, which is vital in sustaining the aggressive playstyle of the Nameless Sword. My strategic sword build is even easier to play compared to Nameless Sword. It only needs to swap weapon once in a while. The build requires the Innerway Sword Horizon and Wolf Chaser's Art. It also requires Heartquaker's Spear as support. You can refer to my previous video in the description on how to find the Sword Horizon. Wolf Chaser's Art can be found together with Heartquaker's Spear in the same dungeon. Sword Horizon gives a lot benefit to strategic sword. It adds secondary attack to both martial art and special skill, allow quickly build up bleed stack. It also let the martial art skill convert bleed stacks for burst damage. Without it, only the special skill can do that. The main reason we use Heartquaker's Spear is the martial art Sober Sorrow. This skill buffs your damage based on how many hits you land on the target during the skill activation. You get the maximum 20% damage buff if you get River Flow, if it hits at least 10 times. We need Wolf Chaser's Art as it reduces the requirement to activate River Flow. As the Sober Sorrow actually hit the target less than 10 times, you won't get the maximum buff without Wolf Chaser's Art. The River Flow status also buffed the Spear's special skill Sweep All. The skill will apply bleed to the target and reduce its defense at the same time. This build's heavy rely on parry and minimum dodging. This helped to conserve stamina, so you can cast more sword special skill to bleed the boss. Parry also quickly depletes the boss chi and staggers him. This opens him up for big damage window and let you use Sober Sorrow as it need to spin for quite some time for maximum buff. Nevertheless, some of the boss attack can't be parry, you need to dodge them instead. That kind of attack will have yellow flashlight indicate it can't be parried. As you only get 2 assisted parries before the insight points are regenerated, it is better if you learn how to do unassisted parry. Actually, parry is better than dodge, as it seems there is almost no iframe in dodging except perfect dodge. I believe this game copied combat features from Stellar Blade. The parry, counterattack, and perfect dodge is similar to Stellar Blade. In that game, dodge move you out of the damage hitbox, but it does not provide iframe except perfect dodge. Another reason you want to avoid dodge and use parry is dodge consumes stamina. This reduces the uptime of your special skill. The parry window in the game is very generous. Before I talk about the skill rotation, let me explain the terminology I am using. Martial art skills mean L2 and square in PS5, special skill is L2 and triangle. Swap weapon means L2 and X. Also keep track on whether the martial art is on sword or on spear. To make it simple, all attack actions are on sword, buff actions are on spear. It is necessary to understand the status icon on the boss and your character for you to check whether the rotation is done efficiently. This is the bleed stack counter. When the counter is at 5, any sword martial art and special skill will remove the stack causing heavy bleed damage. This red color around the boss is the bleed explosion, and the stack is reset. It does not always go back to 0 after you remove the bleed stack. The reason is each of the sword skill can attack twice. With Sword Horizon passive, each skill attack also has more than one hit. In those multi-hit attacks, the bleed stack at 5 will be removed by first attack, and new stack will be added with the second attack. The sword martial art skill has 6 hits if you execute twice, while special skill hit 4 times in 2 attacks. You need more than 6 hits to create bleed explosion, as it only removes the bleed when the stack is already at 5. Which means the martial art itself can create and remove the bleed in its full rotation. The special skill needs to attack twice to fully generate and remove the bleed. Therefore, when you see the boss has no bleed stack, use martial art. If it already has at least 2 stacks, just use the special skill will do. The martial art does not consume stamina, but it has long cooldown. Special skill has low cooldown but consumes stamina, which means you will be using special skill to bleed the boss until martial art is available. You need to conserve stamina to use more special skill. The bleed will expire after 10 seconds. Every time you apply bleed, it resets the timer. This information is just to help you analyze and refine combat strategy. You don't need to remember this information to play the build. You can play it by using whatever skill when it is up, focus on parry the boss attack is the priority. Alright, I have explained the basic. Let's start with the rotation. First thing is parry every attack from the boss, as you need to find a gap to use your skill. As both of the sword skills can run twice, try to avoid the situation the boss hitting you in the midst of using skill. Every time you use any skill, parry the boss as his attack should reach you just right after you finish attack. After that, find the gap to use special skill. As special skill generate 4 bleed stacks in 2 attacks, wait for its cooldown and use it again to explode the bleed. If you are out of stamina and martial art is on cooldown, you can attack with any mystic skills or use heavy attack to fill the gap. The gameplay loop is just parrying the boss, find the gap to use the 2 sword skills. Use mystic skill or heavy attack when low stamina or martial art on cooldown. It will apply consistent damage to the boss with bleed explosion until the boss is staggered for burst damage. Pay attention when the boss is almost stagger, as you have to do everything in correct sequence to get the maximum benefit. You need to have some bleed stack on the boss, as Wolf Chase's art bonus will further increase when the target is bleeding. Use sword special skill to apply bleed if its stacks are low or going to expire. When the boss is staggered, swap to spear and use martial art Sober Sorrow. As spear attack range is very short, use gap closure skill like cloud steps if necessary. Wait until Sober Sorrow finishes its spin, then use execute. You have to confirm it has fully finished its spin, as press too early may cancel some of the animation and reduce the number of hits. After you use execute, use spear special skill while the spear is still inside boss body. This can cancel the remaining animation and let your special skill come out faster. The reason we only can use special skill after execute is because there is delay in the buff status from Sober Sorrow, the martial art. Using special skill right after martial art will result in 0 buff on that skill. When you see the character status bar show River Flow, you get maximum buff. If your special skill received the River Flow buff, you will see 2 bleed stacks appear on the boss status bar. This is defense reducing debuff on the boss. It will appear if Sober Sorrow level is at Spring Surge or River Flow. The spear special skill will cause mini stagger to the boss. You can use this gap to swap to sword. If the boss is already attacking you, parry first, then only swap. After you have swapped to sword, use either martial art or special skill to bleed the boss as usual. Sober Sorrow buff lasts 12 seconds. You don't need to track it. Just play as normal until the boss is staggered again. You can also use the spear martial art when the boss gives you another big window outside of stagger. This will need complex execution and very situational. You can try yourself when such opportunity appears. Other thing you need to pay attention is your sword special skill will do a backflip in its first attack. You can use this to dodge the boss attack if timed correctly, but the second follow-up attack will move you forward and let you get hit if you use it at wrong time. The sword martial art skill has shorter range. Make sure target is within attack range. Use cloud step to close gap if necessary. Most of your attack can be cancelled midway with parry button. Use it to block incoming boss attack. Trading damage with boss is not a good idea as they have more HP than us. When you remove the bleed with red explosion, sometimes it may stagger the boss, depends on the animation he is doing at the moment. You can use this small stagger window to perform another attack. The sword has a charged skill called Track Slash. It will slash nearby enemies after charging. It is useful in fighting group of mobs. It has iframe during its release, and stack 5 bleeds on the target. I don't use this on boss as it consumes stamina, and you have to stand still for a while. It also will not remove the bleed stack. Like other sword skill, you have to follow up with sword special skill for burst damage. I will cover briefly on the Inner Way passive. Other than Sword Horizon and Wolf Chaser's art, Morale Chant should be your third choice. This used by everyone in China server as it works with every build. It increases your damage and healing up to 5% by just attacking. The last one can be flexible. I am recommending Seasonal Edge as it works on every build. I have not acquired this passive yet because I don't have enough Echo Jade. I have already spent 5,000 Echo Jades to purchase Moral Chant from the bookshop. I am using Vital Leech. It heals me when I execute enemy. If you want to know the location to unlock all these passives, leave a comment. I have included a short clip of boss fight here, which show how I apply all the concepts I covered in this tutorial. You are encouraged to continue watch the video, as it helps you understand best way to approach the fight and the skills rotation. Please like the video or subscribe to help on the YouTube algorithm. Thank you, and until next time.
黄泉水。